Usually takes a minute to kick the live up. Alrighty, we are live, episode 13. My good buddy Don Morris. Don, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm not too awful bad.
Not too awful bad. We had a little bit of a hiccup. I had to help you kind of walk through the Discord and whatnot. We had a few jokes. You called me wet behind the ears. I might have called you an old man. Who knows? We got you set up though, and now we're up and running. We are live. This is not Derby related by no means, but me and you are friends. And your daughter has been missing since 2013. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And man, you we've talked.
This is kind of Derby related because I've been a wreck for 10 years now. So.
I tell you, I don't know how you hold it together. You just watching some of the stuff that you have had to go through and some of your quests that you've had to do. Man, I tell you, you are held together with some really good super glue. So if you would, for anybody that has not heard the story, which, you know, the social media, you're all over social media, so people should have heard it. But if they haven't heard it, start us from the very beginning.
Well, you know, I'm gonna just say something about what you just said.
Okay.
You know, people that's heard it and people that's not heard it. Because myself, I'm kind of amazed. I went to 4 bars day before yesterday, and one person out of 3 bars only knew about the story.
Oh my gosh. And that's local?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh
yes.
Man. Oh man.
So I was kind of amazed, you know, the people that don't watch the news,
right,
and the people that don't get on social media, you know, because it kind of frustrated me, you know what I mean? It's like, how can you not hear this story? It's been all over the news everywhere.
Yeah.
So what you just said a minute ago, you know, people's heard it and some hasn't, and I think there's a lot more people out there that needs to hear the story so they can comfort their own family and kids, you know, and be concerned a little more than what they may be today.
Oh, most definitely. And like I told you, if we can reach one person that might know something, it'll be completely worth it to me. Just to get you a little bit of answers, some closure, or something that you're searching for. And I figured, hell, why not? I'm having, you know, 300-400 people that are viewing the podcast on Facebook. Out of them 200 to 300-400 people, maybe somebody has something that you need.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you got a share button or if everybody's got a share button.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that would be the first thing I would ask people to do is share what I'm about ready to explain to everybody how my life's been for 9 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know that they can share this and
most definitely
get the word out there even farther.
And it stays on YouTube indefinitely. So anytime that somebody clicks on it, they can go right to it, and it stays. So yeah. So anybody that's out there, make sure we share the hell out of this one. Not necessarily for Junket Promotions, but for my good buddy Don Morris trying to find answers.
And also for Junket Promotions, because, you know, he's taking time out of his day to do what he's doing for people.
Well, you know,
that takes a good man.
It takes a good man to know a good man, Don. You know, it's I see you time and time again at the derbies and whatnot, and I tell you, you're a roofer on the side, and you took care of my cousin, and you're just so damn giving, and all you ask for is just some answers, you know. And if I can help you get that, buddy, man, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and start with that being said. 2013, September, I think it was around the 19th. my daughter come to visit us, and that's the last time we had seen her. But she'd come to visit us on the 19th, and she didn't look like she was too happy. She looked, and I still kick myself in the head for not getting more involved in what was the matter with her at the time. So she ended up leaving, and we talked, and I seen my grandbaby, and we talked, and she wouldn't come in the house because Dan York would get upset with her because the baby would smell like smoke. Of course, I smoked, and I smoked in my house, and he didn't like that. Now, it didn't bother her, but it seemed to bother him, and she was kind of worried about that. So, we had a few words, and she left. Little did I know that that was going to be the last time I'd ever see my daughter. So I reported her missing approximately 2 weeks after that. Her mother and I talked to one another, and Ashley, would at least contact us, once or twice a week, at least, minimum. And sometimes every day of the week. But 2 weeks went by, and I got concerned, and I asked her mother. I said, because she usually calls or talks to her mother or something, I said, "You seen or heard from Ashley?" And she said, "No." So we called her phone, probably in the next 2 hours, probably 50 times, trying to get in contact with her, and no answer. So I go to her house.
But the phone was still ringing?
It was still ringing, yes. And so I tell the wife, "Come on, let's go to her house and see what's going on." So we went to her house and beat on the door, no answer. So I had left a note on the door, saying, "Ashley, contact us, when you get this note." Well, no contact, so I went back like 2 days later, and the note was gone. So I wrote another note and put on the door, and still yet no contact. So at that point, I contacted the police department, and I said, "My daughter's missing. I haven't been able to locate her. I've left 2 notes on the door, and nothing." So we come back approximately, maybe 3 or 4 days later, and noticed, the neighbors called us and said there was a U-Haul truck pulled up in the side yard, blocking the view of the neighbor's picture window. And so we rushed over there, and by the time we got there, it was actually like 1:30 in the morning this was going on. So we made sure they called the police, and we never did get no answers out of that. But then I'd come back 2 days later to find Mr. York and his kids moving my daughter's belongings out of that house, because she, of course, had rented from them. And I asked the police, "Can you do something about them removing my daughter's belongings? They've done something to her. They had to.
Right.
And they just says, he said it's all his belongings, and I knew it wasn't, because they were taking things that I had given to my daughter. I'm like, this ain't right. You got to have, courts ordered to remove anything out of a rental house like that.
Right. Did she have a lease with him, or was it just a verbal bill?
I think it might have been a verbal thing. I'm not for sure.
I got you.
I didn't get involved in what she had going on over there, because I felt it was probably best. I didn't want to create an argument.
Yeah.
So as you know, after that, I turned it into the police. The police department wouldn't even make a report. His cousin was Scroggins. So I don't know if the sheriff
was
Scroggins.
The sheriff. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that played a big part in why I wasn't getting no cooperation.
Right.
So, I went for about another week or two, and I noticed they was moving some more belongings out of out of the house, and this time they had a white truck or a Dodge, and plates come back to it, registered to York's lawyer that he lawyered up with, which was Mick Alexander.
Oh my gosh.
So Mick's truck was involved, and Mick said he was working on his truck and he didn't have no involvement in it. But still today we'll never know because he's gone, and we'll never know why Scroggins hit it because he's gone.
Right.
Then it went for maybe another 10 days before somebody even come to my house trying to make a report. The sheriff's department didn't make the report because they kept arguing with me because the city was supposed to make a report, and that's not true because it was Rorton. It was the sheriff's department.
That should have been Delaware County.
Right. So city ended up taking a report. They laid it on the county's desk, and it sat for another 4 or 5 days. So these guys had, probably 2 to 3 weeks, not prior to me not knowing for a couple weeks, to do something with her, to get rid of all evidence.
Right.
And at one point, me and the wife went there, and they was moving belongings, and we had, called the police because neighbors called us and said, hey, they're moving belongings out again. So we called the police, and we go over there and we sat back, just to watch, to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And we had a big poster on the front door, and at this time we had a big poster on the front door of Ashley and missing, anybody seen her to contact us and this, and stuff like that, and a picture of her on it. And when we pulled up and sat and watched, well, we noticed one of them officers had that poster pulled off the front door and was showing it to the other officers, then throws it face down in the front yard. And me and the wife both broke out crying. It's just devastating that them officers would do something like that,
Right.
And I wished I'd had, I was just so hurt at the time, I wished I'd have went up there and I'd probably went to jail. I honestly probably wouldn't have went to jail. So it's probably a good thing I didn't. But as you know, and anybody else knows this case, I continued, without police help. I recommended them to go to several places. They wouldn't do it. To do searches that, I had leads on. They wouldn't do it. So I would do these searches myself.
Yeah.
I would go on live on Facebook, get the community to help me, and we would do these searches.
Yeah. And all this has come out of your pocket with absolutely no help whatsoever.
Yes, up until what's just happened here recently, but I'll get to that down the road here. And everything I done was on my dime. You're exactly right. So, York, the wife recommended York to bring that baby by so we could see the baby. And the baby was probably 3 months old at this time. And he brung her by, and he let the wife visit her, and he pulled up in the van, and he opened the sliding door on the side and had his daughter in the passenger seat, and he was in the driver's seat. And this is the van that Ashley had been driving. So the wife seeing the baby, and I go over to the driver's door, and I told him, I says, I ought to just yank you out of this truck and beat your ass.
Right.
Well, at that point, he says, well, I'll kill you, and drove off. All the doors wide open. He says, I'll kill you, and drove off. Then he went to the police department and told them that I threatened to kill him. So now at this point, everywhere I go, there would be a police car behind me. I even headed that way towards York's house on a job that was out that way. I pulled up on the job, and the customer opened the garage door because I was remodeling a bathroom at the time. And he opened the garage door. This is probably about 8 o'clock in the morning because I had pulled by the house and backed up into the driveway, see? And the cop, evidently, he thought that was kind of suspicious, but he chased me all the way down Cornbread Road. You know, I seen him at that four-way stop where the new jail is now on Cornbread there, heading towards Yorktown. And he had nerve enough to ask me what I was doing. I says, well, I'm working here. He says, well, I need to talk to the homeowner to check that out and see. I says, well, go knock on the door, you know. I says, you can see they just opened the garage door when I pulled in the driveway. So he thought I was just, you know, there trying to outrun him, I guess, or hide from him or what have you.
Yeah.
I don't hide from nobody. You know what I mean?
And just it sounds crazy to me. Here you have your daughter missing. You have a gentleman that still has your grandbaby. You're asking for help. It's going unnoticed. But then that same gentleman makes allegations that you said you was going to harm him. They're on it. They're on it.
Right.
They're following you around.
Right. Right. And this happened for, well, I'd say a good month, you know, to make sure that I wasn't going to harm this guy, which done harm to my family.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all that passed, and you know, I kept searching. I stood on corners, you know, with big posters, and I took them to court, trying to get custody. I went and got guardianship over Ashley because she ain't been around for several months at this point. So I've been through the court system, and you know, all that, and then after I got guardianship of Ashley, 5 of them involved loaded up and moved to Florida and said they had been there for 6 months. So, which was a lie, you know. They jumped in the cars and left and claimed citizenship down there so that they didn't have to come back down here and go to court no more, because, you know, I had charges on them.
Right.
So they skipped town. One of them had 20 years in at Lowe's and just took off with them that was moving Ashley's belongings. Now you tell me, you got 20 years in somewhere, you're just going to up and take off and leave all your 20 years behind for no reason?
That's a long time to just uproot and take off if you ain't guilty of something.
Yeah, thank you. So I tried to send paperwork down there, you know, I send stuff down there, and it never makes it to them to go to court. Well, just to find out here in the last couple weeks, and they had all these documents sealed, see, and so York died down there probably a year later, about 2 years later. It's 2015, so he died 2 years later. Then his wife adopted my grandbaby illegally, falsified documents and, you know, fraudulent acts. So that's what happened down there. So I'm trying to file papers down there, and she's given addresses at post office box numbers and stuff like that. So I can't locate her to, you know, get her to come to court. So a few more years
Now
passed.
to stop you right there, before York, the one you think that might have done something to your daughter, before he passed, other than him coming to your house the one time, was you ever able to get anything out of him? Any comments that he might have made that kind of sealed the deal? Or
he lawyered up, and then the police would go to his door, and he'd sit inside his door and laugh at him. But there again, Michael Scroggins was his cousin, see?
Yeah.
So I don't think they pushed the issue too much. But, you know, after that, before he left, though, his son had OD'd in his house and died right in his house.
Oh, boy.
And he was feeding his own son the drugs to work for him. So I think his own dad killed him because he was starting to talk to the police. I think he gave him a hot shot or something. I don't know. Give him bad drugs.
Yeah.
You know, and Dan York Jr., then the detective told me he choked on a cheeseburger.
Well,
that's what killed him.
That's
He said, I pulled the booger out of his throat. Well, little did he know that I know York's girlfriend that he had a baby with. That, you know, they done the same thing to her. You know, tried to take her baby from her, and they did for quite some time. And she finally got her back. But she gave me the autopsy report, and it was overdose and alcohol and just all kinds of drugs in the system. So there's 3 of them dead. Then Jill Gonzalez was the one that done all the paperwork, all the fraudulent paperwork for the adoptions and therefore and so forth.
And this is against York's wife, correct?
No, that was a lawyer here for the Yorks, Jill Gonzalez.
Yeah, but doing the paperwork against York's wife that illegally adopted your granddaughter.
For her, yeah. Doing it for her. And she was on York's side. That was York's lawyer. But since she had died, and they had her on several accounts, you know, of stuff, that she was about ready to go to court 6 days later. She died, and she had court set up like 6 days later. She died 6 days before going to court on a lot of federal charges.
Wow.
Yeah. Then now to come to find out, the judge and the lawyer down there in Florida that done it, both of them is dead. So we got 7 people involved with Ashley's case that's dead, that does fraudulent stuff.
That sounds like to me that's one hell of a cover-up.
I don't know what's going on.
Tying up every loose end. That almost sounds like a blockbuster movie. I mean, you don't hear about things like this happen in real life, and you're living it.
Right. And I've lived it for, going on 10 years. But yeah, so getting all the proper paperwork and documents and all this stuff off of dead people is a hard thing to do. But Gonzalez, what she had done, York had passed away for him to get the adoption, and she told the judges here that she had talked to York on the 19th, and York had died on the 15th. So we was kind of like, how the hell did you talk to him on the 19th when his death certificate says the 15th?
Right.
So, I mean, that just shows you all the fraud that was going on in this case.
Yeah.
So, it's just been one hell of a battle for me because, I've been fighting this alone for a long time, and a lot of people seen me fighting it alone on Facebook until Tony Skinner got in there, and I voted for Skinner. I've seen Skinner at the fairgrounds, and it was probably on a Derby day. He was out there and promoting and trying to get in. And he was out there standing, asking people what would they want to do most. You know what I mean?
Right.
What would they want to see him do most? And I told him I want him to find my daughter.
Yeah. And
I told him that.
I don't know Skinner personally. But we put together, my union put together a deal for a huge suicide walk. However many people we could get, we did so many laps in memory of them. And I'll tell you what, there was not one newspaper article, nothing on social media, anything like that. But Mr. Skinner was out there walking himself. He wasn't dressed up like the sheriff, hey, look at me. He just went out there and he walked.
Yeah, he's a real good man.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be to this point where I'm at today if it wasn't for Tony Skinner.
Right.
And his department. He got in there and he told me, he says, that's one of his number one things he wants to do is solve this crime.
Yeah.
So he's halfway there. I'll give him credit for that. But I got court coming up. I don't want to disclose a whole lot of stuff. I mean, mostly what I've talked to you about's already been out there, so
yeah.
I can talk to you about that stuff. But I just hope at this point they brung her back for kidnapping. They got her in North Carolina. I'm fighting for my grandbaby back. I've spent $10,000 and working towards $15,000 in debt over this, because I'm trying to get the right answers, and I'm not giving up and I'm not giving in. But, we've maxed out credit cards. We've got a GoFundMe going. We raised about $2,600 through people over that, and man, that's tremendous help, and I thank them for that, because, $2,600 ain't a lot of money compared to $15,000.
Right.
But I tell you what, it feels good that, people are out there, giving money.
Yep.
And, Zellas, I've had some Zella come in. I've probably had about 3,500 of the 10 grand I spent that, the community's pitched in for me and helped me. And, of course, everybody knows there's going to be a big Jeep show and car show and, motorcycle event here coming up the 4th this Saturday at the Hitching Post. And, I'd like to see as many people out there as we can to, help me fight this fight, because right now I've got a lawyer here. I got a lawyer in North Carolina. It cost me $7,500 just to even get started. Now I got to get a lawyer in Florida and talk to him today, and he wants $5,000 up front before his start. So I'm about $15,000 in the hole just to get started.
Right.
And
you said you had a GoFundMe?
Yes.
What's the name of anybody that's watching this? What's the name of the GoFundMe that they can find?
It's under Don Morris.
Don Morris. Okay.
Yeah, and I got a Zella account too. So if they Facebook me, I can give them the Zella number.
Okay.
Or you can go to any Star Bank in the state of Indiana, and you can tell them the granddaughter account and deposit money in that account.
Okay.
And it's under the granddaughter account. Real simple, because that's who I'm fighting for. So I made an account under her name.
I got you. Now,
called the granddaughter account.
Is it actually her name, or is it just the granddaughter account?
The granddaughter.
Okay. Okay.
And that's all you have to tell them. You want to put this in the account of the granddaughter. And Star Bank's only Indiana, so that only goes to Indiana. But anybody that's out of Indiana, they can go to my page and get on the GoFundMe, or they can Zella. They can go on my page and PM me, and I can give them the numbers for the Zella.
I got you. Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. I didn't know you was in the financial trouble you're in right now. It's not a whole lot, but this coming up Friday, get with me. And Junker Promotions would like to donate $300 to the cause.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, you're a wonderful man, and any way that we can possibly help, I love to help you.
Well, that's great, and I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
It's hard, because I'm paying rent for 3 different people right now, trying to help them out too. So people don't realize, like you said earlier, I do a lot of things for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get in financial trouble, you don't expect things like this to come up. I didn't expect them after 10 years to say, hey, we got the kidnapper, because I always claimed it was kidnapping. Now after 10 years, they pop up and say, hey, we got the kidnapper, and they just follow documents like I told them, and they kept going after trying to find Ashley's body. And I says, you need to go after the lady that's got my granddaughter, because you might get somewhere. Now they've proven, that she kidnapped her, because there's a lot of falsified documents. So now I'm trying to get this, where she adopted her, closed out. And I just never, in my wildest dream, thought that you'd have to have lawyers for a kidnapping.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand that. If they kidnap your family member, you have to fight to get them back?
Right.
I don't understand
it. Yeah, man, the more you talk about the story, the deeper and crazier it gets. Now in the paper, she has been apprehended, but they did not get the baby back, correct?
Right. She's still in North Carolina. So I got still, even documentations here, after I prove it's kidnapping here, they won't even let me talk to my granddaughter there because they're saying, well, she adopted her. So she's got them snowballed in North Carolina to where, I can't even see my granddaughter. I still can't even get a picture of my granddaughter. Don't even know where my granddaughter's at, whether she's back with that family or what. So it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's still in the dark, and that's frustrating. Just from an outsider looking in, I couldn't imagine the shoes you're wearing right now.
And if you look at the law states if you kidnap somebody and take them out of state, it's a federal offense.
Yeah.
And they only even got her for a federal charge. A federal offense, she's facing 20 years. Well, what she done, if it's just local and state of Indiana, she's only facing 6 years. And she's took them to 3 different states, so it should be a federal offense.
So they went to Florida, and are they living in North Carolina now?
Yeah, after they collected money in Florida, because they've been paying her for the adoption in Florida. Well, she took off to North Carolina and was still collecting money in Florida.
Oh my
then
Lord. Jumped
over and collected money in North Carolina.
Wow.
And there was $467,000 in back taxes when all this happened, and kept every property.
Wow.
That's some heavy-duty corruption.
Either they're the luckiest or the sneakiest, or they just know some really good people. They know something.
Well, they just acquired a bunch of money to pay people off, I guess.
Right. Or kill them, it sounds like.
Yeah, there you go. One or the other.
Yeah. Man. Now, the last, I think it was summer before last, you had some cadaver people that had the cadaver dogs. Did that ever turn up anything other than a few bones here and there from raccoons and whatnot?
Well, actually, we found some bones on the river, and the cops called in the coroner, and the coroner seemed to think they was, human bones. Told us that, and packed them up, and they said they was going to take them to Ball State. Then when we tried to locate these bones that they so-called took, well, they did take. I was right there and seen them take them.
Yeah.
We still ain't got no reports on them bones. I mean, we don't. After they said they was going to take them one place, they turned around and told us they took them somewhere else, and we tried to track them down and never could. But this was through the Foreman brothers, and they took their camera and didn't give it back to them for a month. Then the cop made them come to his house to pick up the camera, which it should have been in the evidence room. So there's some more fraudulent things that happened.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been through hell. I've been through literally hell. And I climbed back out. I'm still on top, so I'm gonna keep on fighting.
Yeah, I tell you, I don't know how you're holding it together, but you are one strong-willed man. That is for sure. You might be old, like I said earlier. You might be old, but you're young at heart, and you're not giving up. But you can sit back and you can only admire what you've done in this absolute tragic story, and you just keep on kicking.
Well, I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
Well, like I tell them, I don't know if you've seen my post, the impossible just takes a little longer.
Right. I like that.
And
Impossible
I
just
think
takes a little longer.
And I think I'm proving that.
Right. Yeah. And you said this coming up Saturday at the Hitching Post, is that correct?
Yep, from 11 to 3.
This coming up Saturday, and Just Jeep and Muncie is putting that on?
Yes. Yep.
I tell you, they're a huge group of just kind people. We had a Derby guy that lost his son. I reached out to him. Man, we made a bunch of money to put that kid to rest and whatnot. And good group of people, most definitely.
Stacy is. I just met her. I guess she's the one that started this group.
Yep. Stacy and Tara, I believe it is.
Okay. Well, I've met Stacy, and she seems to be a wonderful, caring person,
Yep.
and concerned about the community.
Yep.
And
She most
that's what we
definitely
need. A lot more people like her and you, to work with, people that's, got problems going on. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that, if the community comes together, we can stop a lot of this
That's
corruption, as I call it.
I tell you, I don't even know if I would call that corruption. That sounds more like mafia to me,
Well, that's a possibility.
I mean, I don't understand how you can beat this when the system is completely rigged against you. You're the crazy one. You're this. You don't know what's going on, but yet you keep getting little pieces showing he's right, and no one else will take a step back and like, man, maybe this old man's not crazy. Maybe we need to start listening to him, and maybe this case would have been solved 9-10 years ago instead of going on.
Yeah, and if they would have listened to me at day one, yeah, I think it would have been solved a long time ago.
Yeah. So,
but we had a lot of corruption at that time. We all know that.
Yeah. So I know you've kind of shifted your focus to getting the grandbaby back. That's your top priority. As far as searches or anything to find Ashley, where are you kind of at with that right now?
Well,
oh, you got muted.
We can't hear him. He's muted.
All right, Don. Hold on, Don. I just got I just was told that no one can hear you. I can barely hear you. Did you have a phone call or something?
no, I just holding the phone back a little too far.
There you go. Let me turn you back down here. I was trying to turn you up in Discord and whatnot. Okay, can we start completely over after I asked that question? Because that's when you kind of went quiet, and I was trying on my end to fix everything. I'm sorry. Can we start over again?
Okay, it was about the cadaver dogs, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The next step of finding Ashley.
Okay. All right. Yes. Next step of finding Ashley. I got, like I say, when I first asked for cadaver dogs out the reservoir, they told me I couldn't get cadaver dogs because the city didn't have one. So
Yeah.
I spent about 20 minutes and had 8 cadaver dogs lined up, ready to go.
Yep, I remember that.
A 20-minute phone call, I had 8 dogs where the city couldn't get none, the county couldn't get none. So it kind of disturbed me there. But yeah, I've had two places I still want to search. One is a recent lead. The other one is an old lead that I want to get cadaver dogs back on it. There was a meth lab on the property, and they wouldn't allow the dogs on there because it was going to harm the dogs.
Right.
Now, since then, the property's been cleaned up that I think I can get the dogs on it.
I gotcha.
But I've had leads that, she may be buried on that property as well.
Now, if somebody would have a lead that's listening or has heard something, what is the best way to get you that information?
Well, you can either Facebook me or you can contact the Sheriff's Department, John Branson at the Sheriff's Department. One heck of a detective. I got to give him credit.
Okay.
I mean, one good man. He's the one that made all this happen with the arrest of Sheila.
I gotcha. So the Delaware County Sheriff's Department, John Branson.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or contact you, Don Morse, on Facebook with anything.
Right. If you're scared to go to the police, and contact me, I guess.
Yeah.
It's always better to go to the police, because it don't look like I'm trying to pull their leg and lying all the time, you know what I mean? So, because I've had a lot of false leads, but you got to follow them all,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, then you feel like, you let yourself down, and, it could very well be, you know what I mean? So
Right.
you
Well,
follow them all.
I can tell you, I'm sure you've been in that state where you feel like you let your daughter Ashley down, but as an outsider looking in, don't let that nonsense in your head, man. I mean, you're doing things that superheroes would struggle to do in movies. I promise you that. You just keep on the good fight, and one day you're going to get answers. There's no doubt in my mind you'll get answers.
Well, I appreciate that.
We got a couple people in chat. Robert Songer, he wants to know as far as bodies of water where she went missing, searching it or anything like that.
Well, I don't know if he was aware of the one where I was told that she was put in a barrel at the reservoir, but I couldn't get the cops to go look at it, so I knocked a hole in the 2 inches of ice because I had been fishing there several times with my grandson, and I remembered, I did see a barrel there, fishing.
Yeah.
So I remember where this barrel was, and I knocked a big hole in the ice, and I went and retrieved this barrel and pulled it up to the surface, just the edge of it, so they would see that there was a barrel there, and they had a trash truck here come and pull it out. But I couldn't even get them to investigate that until I actually surfaced this barrel. And I was out there in the freezing cold water, knocked a hole through the ice, walked out there, pulled the edge of this barrel up, because see, you can do that. They can legally arrest you for messing with evidence, but there's a trick to that. As long as you don't go through the evidence, there's no evidence until I surface that barrel. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So once I surface that barrel, then it become evidence. So I had to leave it alone and let the Sheriff's Department take over. But it's not.
So you
not
do the
evidence
dirty
until
work.
you present it.
You do the dirty work, and then they come scoop it up.
Right.
Did the barrel contain anything? Have you heard anything about that, or are you still waiting on that?
It did not.
It did not.
It did not. But see, then if you mess with things like that, they can get you for, contamination of the evidence and just a long list,
I think with your track record, though, they know if you say something, they got a minimum amount of time, and if they don't go out there and turn that rock over, here you come. You're going to turn the rock
I'm
over.
going to investigate it myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Till the day I die, until I find my daughter.
Yep. Man, that's.
And I might even come back and do it then.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You're a man on a mission, and you're focused, and you know it's. Man, I look at you, and you know, daily struggles that people have. You know, oh, this is too hard. That is too hard. When you look up definition of hard, there you are in the dictionary holding a sign saying, "I'm living it." That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. Well, what people don't understand, you know, on a daily basis, I run a construction crew too for another company.
Yeah.
Then I run my business too on top of that. So,
Yeah.
you know, people don't understand, you know, the impossible just takes a little longer. That's what's keeping me going, you know, because someday I'm going to do the impossible and I'm going to find my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the way I see it.
I believe you, buddy. I believe you. You're not going to give up until you do. So,
Right.
man, oh man, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Well, there any more questions anybody would like to get answered while I'm here?
Oh man, you got chat pretty much speechless. They're here. They're just not talking, and I think they're soaking it up. You know, I got people in southern Indiana that are on here, some in Ohio and whatnot, and I'm sure there might be a couple of them. This is their very first time hearing anything at all. So yeah, you got them pretty silent.
Well, I tell you what, if anybody wants to know more about this story, Google Missing Ashley Morris Mullis.
Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of me and my missions. You'll see all the hell I've been through. You know, the newspaper, the presses, it's all there.
Yeah.
Just Missing Ashley Morris Mullis, or simply Ashley Morris Mullis. It's real simple.
And you said if anybody wants to make a donation and be anonymous, any Star Bank in Indiana, the granddaughter account. That's what it's called.
Yes, sir.
The granddaughter account, if you want to go make a donation to that, you can stay completely out of it, or look up Don Morris on GoFundMe. Any help we can get this gentleman, I tell you, he deserves it. If there's anybody more that deserves answers, it is you, my friend.
And like I said, I got a Zella account too, so they can PM me if they want to donate that way. Real simple way to do it.
Okay.
And if they PM me, I can give them the numbers
Okay.
for that account.
I don't even know what a Zella is, so you're more technological than me. I mean, we might have had to set you up on Discord, but I don't even know what the hell a Zella is. Is it like a PayPal?
Well, us old parts are used to teaching you young boys old tricks.
Man, well, Don, I sure do appreciate you coming on, buddy, and chatting with us. Like I said, I just felt that, you know, if we could get maybe just one or two answers, it's worth it, you know. This is not Derby related, or we're not talking about Derby parts or nothing. We're talking about real life. And like you said, your life has been an absolute wreck. And,
Well,
and
they
rightfully
tried.
so.
Yeah, they tried to demo me. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, buddy, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
There is a $10,000 reward for any thing leading to my daughter's whereabouts, and plus a '77 Harley Davidson is part of that reward too. So $10,000. Any information leading to my daughter's body's whereabouts or my daughter
Yeah.
whereabouts is $10,000 and a '77 Harley Davidson that it's my pride and joy, and it runs like a dream.
Yeah.
That's probably older than you, ain't it, Nathan?
Well, 77. Yeah. I wasn't around till 84.
And hey, and I still ride it today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, buddy, I sure do appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can find you some answers. And like I said, this coming up Friday, you come see me. I'll have you a little bit of cash, and it's not much, but any little bit's going to help. Anybody that's in Delaware County, the Hitching Post this Saturday, put on by Just Jeep and Muncie. He's told you all of his different places you can donate to help out with the cause and whatnot. So together, I believe, what was the saying you went? The impossible is not impossible. It just takes longer.
Just takes a little longer.
Just takes a little longer. So that is going to be it for episode 13 of Junket Promotion Podcast. You all stay safe, and until next time,